Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, whenever you are in the cosmos. If you're new here, let me introduce myself. I'm Asteria, your favorite comfy cosmic lycanthrope VTuber. This space is where I post a lot of my roleplay, ASMR, fiction writing, and some visual novel reviews. If you find yourself enjoying this content, liking and subscribing means the world to me and keeps me motivated to continue doing what I do. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoy your time with me. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Thank you for allowing me to entertain you once again. So, what's on the docket for tonight? Well, that would have to be Touchstarved. Now, before I continue, I need to tell you that I'm not in any way sponsored to review this, and I get no compensation for this at all. This is just one Werewolf Girl's review about a demo of a Kickstarter game that will, hopefully, be coming to Steam sometime in 2025. Likewise, if you'd rather play the demo yourself and not get spoiled, it's a smart idea to leave the video. Like, right now. That being said, Touchstarved markets itself as a dark romance visual novel, where you assume the role as the cursed protagonist, entering the city of Iridia to find a cure. Over the course of the demo, you meet 5 monstrous love interests that will, I can only assume, help you on your ultimate journey to get cured, or, perhaps, even convince you that your curse isn't all that bad to begin with. But, in my esteemed opinion, the curse is bad. It's terrible. Anytime you touch someone or they touch you, they're afflicted by madness and try to kill you. Or at least, that's what happened in the beginning of the demo. Obviously, you escape because this would not be a visual novel if you died within the first 10 minutes of gameplay. Anyway, so, 5 love interests, right? Who are they, you may be wondering? Well, let's start with Ace. He has some Cthulhu/Oni vibes going on, and he's mentioned to be the demon renegade on the Kickstarter for the game. I clicked with him immediately when I met him. I'm not sure what it is exactly that I enjoyed so much about his character. Maybe it's the fact that he's tamed these awful creatures called soulless, and one of them is like this void dog thing. But I knew I immediately wanted to romance him. The only thing that gave me pause is that he's got voices in his head. And they're his friends. His only friends. Crazy, right? He also guards this thing called the Sea Spring, which provides miracles, and according to him, it seems like it's going to take a miracle to get rid of the curse haunting the protagonist. Also, the Sea Spring has like all the memories from everyone who has ever drank from it before, and obviously, Ace is partaking. Thus, that's probably where the crazy voices come from. He mentions that drinking from the Sea Spring completely erases your personality, and he doesn't want that for the protag, cure for the curse or not. He seems really interesting, and that's probably who I'm going to focus on romancing whenever the full game releases. Next, there's Mhin, and outside of being, well, completely drained of color, in my opinion, they weren't too interesting. They saved the protag from being killed, again, by a rogue soulless in the city. They don't accept the thank you that the protag attempts to give them, and kind of just waves off the whole encounter. We don't get to spend a lot of time with them, so maybe it's the lack of knowledge that left me feeling a little, I don't know, lukewarm about them. But also, there's nothing that really captured my attention and made me want to learn more about them either. There seems to be this thing between Mhin and Ace, probably having to do with the soulless, if I could take a guess. But everything else about them is a big question mark. I think they're probably the tough exterior, soft interior trope, and it's obvious they've got something going on. I mean, look at their character. They have absolutely no color in their design. But their initial introduction made me feel like they were more of a secondary character than one of the main cast the protag is supposed to be interested in. After Mhin, there's Vere, or Vere. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. But I get the appeal. He's a fox/dog boy. He has a leather collar, a leather harness. He can control the shadows, and his sense of smell is insanely good. And I'm sure there will be a mention of him scenting that the protag is aroused later in the game. So I get it. I understand. He's ticking all the right boxes. I say right in air quotes, by the way. Of the 5 possible love interests, I get the impression that he's a little more canon-leaning than the others. I could be completely wrong, but he does flirt with the protag outright when you first meet him, and maybe it's just me, but I did feel as if there was more time given to him during his introduction to us and the protagonist. There's also a lot of interesting snippets that are immediately dropped when we meet him. Like, he apparently has a huge beef with Kuras. More on that later. And he's owned by some establishment/woman wherein he hunts rogue soulless in the city. And although I found all of his double entendres and innuendos more eye-rolly than swoon-worthy, I did giggle and laugh throughout the dialogue. Sue me. I think he's interesting, don't get me wrong. And he did capture my attention almost immediately, and I get the impression from his personality and character design that he's probably had something terrible happen to him in his past. Everything he's doing, wearing, saying, etc., it's just a mask that he wears. And he's worn it for so long that he doesn't know how to take it off anymore. And maybe the protag can help him do that, make him find himself again. Or I could be wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. I hope there is more to his character than just the facade of a very hypersexualized individual masking their discrepancies beneath it. So, we mentioned Kuras before, right? He's up next. He's actually the first love interest we meet during the demo. During the story, the protagonist's caravan is attacked by soulless. Everyone dies except the protag, and they instead get gravely injured. Like, the soulless chops off their arm, and the protagonist is bleeding out. There's no one around to save them, they can't climb to safety, they're gonna die. But the protag then wakes up naked, but covered with a sheet, in Kuras' clinic. And Kuras himself is interesting. In comparison to the other love interests, he speaks in full sentences. That's the first thing I noticed. And he also thinks the protag is also interesting. In my opinion, his character design is a little intimidating, mostly because Aridia does not come across as a place that is well-to-do. It seems like a struggle to live here, but Kuras has golden filigree all over his otherwise white outfit. He is a doctor, and he mentions or alludes to this a few times during the introduction conversation. It is a job, it is a title, and it is a station that he takes very seriously. In fact, everyone else we meet seems to know him and that fact that he is a doctor, and he has helped out the denizens of Lowtown. Lowtown seems to be a district in Aridia that will take up the predominant portion of our gameplay. There's Lowtown and there's Hightown. He has something of a reputation in the city, in Lowtown specifically, but we don't get much else from him other than that. The entire part of the narrative where he cuts off the protag's clothes to operate on them, I believe was supposed to be like a thing, something to be embarrassed about or something to indicate his interest, but he diminishes it to just being part of his job, that he cannot operate if there are clothes in the way, which makes logical sense. So it's difficult to try and swoon over someone like that. Not saying that swooning over someone who takes off the protag's clothes without their consent is swoon worthy, but it's a tricky line to walk. Like I mentioned before, I think he's interesting, but he doesn't really flirt with you the way Vere does, and I'm not saying that Vere's bombastic flirting is necessarily a good thing. Kuras' character looks interesting, but I wasn't immediately attracted to him, not in the way that I was Ace. And of all the options given to you, he clearly feels like the comfortable, steady, mature one. But like the others, he could be hiding a deep, dark secret. Last but not least, we have Leander. Now, this boy is a showboat, if I ever did see one. He likes having all eyes on him, and you can't do anything to tell me differently. When the protag first meets him, he's on top of a table doing magic. Not stage magic, like actual magic, making lilies appear in his hand because people want to see him do magic. He's in a bar that he owns, or his gang owns, something to that effect. So he has station within Lowtown. People know him. He runs a gang. Leander is a person that seems like a jokester. He doesn't seem to have a serious bone in his body, to be completely honest with you. And he is mostly smiles and laughter throughout the entire conversation that we have with him when we are introduced to him. Again, no overt flirting, which is probably why Vere's flirting gave me such bad whiplash when it happened, because everyone else doesn't do that, and Vere does. Anyway, the narrative keeps drawing us back to his dagger earring in his ear, and we don't really get any context for why we keep looking at it, other than, and this is my assumptions again, it could be an arcane focus, it could be something that's very important to him in his entire character arc, or maybe he stole it. Who knows? All in all, I think Leander is a great character, but again, I wasn't immediately swooning for him when I first met him. He seems very good. He has a good heart, but I also get big brother vibes from him. Like someone that is comfortable and that you can feel secure with and that will protect you, but not necessarily someone that you would have like a romantic attraction to. So I could just be wrong. All in all, what did I think? That's what you're all here for, right? Well, I'll be honest here. It may sound like I'm bashing the game a lot, like character decisions, narrative design, and I'm not. I really enjoyed the demo, and whereas before playing the demo, I was pretty much on the fence about the game. Obviously, there's going to be tropes, as I mentioned in my dissection of each character, and there's not going to be a lot of character customization other than the origin you get to pick at the beginning of the game. Now, you pick your origin and nothing in the demo like reinforces that your origin has had some form of control over your narrative path, so I do hope that there's more of that involved in the actual game. But otherwise, I think it's a good game. I think it's a great demo. I had a lot of fun reading it. I think the characters are interesting. I think the art is amazing. The music is superb. It's a really good product. I can see myself doing multiple playthroughs to romance each individual. Granted, I will probably complain about some more than others, but I do want to find out what's going on behind the scenes. I want to know about each of the characters and find out what their deep dark secret is. Why are they in Iridia, and why do they want to help me, other than me being very, very interesting, apparently. Suffice to say, I am looking forward to the 2025 release whenever it comes to Steam. And I think that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this quasi-review of the Touchstarved demo. Let me know in the comments if you've played the demo, who your favorite love interest is so far, and what did you think about my analysis? Was I right? Was I wrong? Sorta right, sorta wrong? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Well, that's it for me, folks. Have a great rest of your day. Farewell.